This is problem number 2 from section 7.5. It says, given that sine theta is negative 45 over 53 and cosine theta is greater than 0, determine sine 2 theta, cosine 2 theta, and tangent 2 theta. These are the double angle formulas. So before we even start with the double angle formulas and deal with any of those, we can use this information that we've used before to figure out what quadrant we're in and to also draw a triangle and find out what cosine theta is and tangent theta. So we're going to draw the coordinate plane. We know that we have the first quadrant, the second quadrant, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. Now, we know sine is only negative in quadrants 3 and 4. So this is where sine is less than 0 in these two. It says cosine is greater than 0. We know cosine is greater than 0 here and here. So where do they intersect? Well, they intersect in quadrant 4. So we are in quadrant 4. That's simple enough to figure out. So then we draw the coordinate plane again, and this time we're going to draw our triangle. So our triangle, it says sine is negative 45 over 53. So that's negative 45 for the opposite side and 53 for the hypotenuse. Question is, what's cosine? We know we got to find this side right here. Well, we can use the Pythagorean Theorem, which is 53 squared equals negative 45 squared plus, we're going to call it, I guess you could call it x squared. X squared. Subtract that over, you get 53 squared equals, or minus, negative 45 squared equals x squared. Square root it all, and we get square root of 53 squared minus negative 45 squared. That's what x is going to be. Let's plug that in the calculator and see what we get. So we get 53 squared minus 40, well, it's negative 45, but I can just put 45 squared in there. Let's make sure I put the parenthesis in the right spot. 784 and do the square root of that. 28. So we get 28 as our x value. So this is 28 here, which means we can say that we know sine theta is negative 45 over 53. Cosine theta is 28, right? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's 28 over 53. And we can say that tangent theta is opposite over adjacent, negative 45 over 28. Once we figured those three things out, now is when we're going to bring in our double angle formulas. So let's bring those in. And we can say that our double angle formulas, sine of 2 theta, cosine of 2 theta, and tangent of 2 theta. And remember, cosine 2 theta's got 3 different versions. We can use any version we want. It doesn't really matter which version we use. I kind of like to use the middle version a lot. I don't really know why, but that's what I use quite often. But let's go ahead and use, let's find sine 2 theta. It says sine of 2 theta equals, well, it equals 2 sine theta cosine theta. So 2 times sine theta's fraction, which is negative 45 over 53, times cosine theta's fraction, which is 28 over 53. Multiply all those in the calculator. So we get 2 times negative. Actually, I'm going to use some fractions here. So let's go ahead and do this again. We're going to do 2 times negative 45 over 53 times, this will be nice because it'll reduce it all for us. We like that. 28 over 53 All right, negative 2,520 over 2,809. Perfect. So that's our double angle. That's the answer for our double angle formula. So sine of 2 of the angle is that. So it's pretty easy. We can do cosine 2 theta then is 2, I'm going to use the middle one, so 2 cosine squared minus 1. So 2 times cosine squared, so I'm going to say 28 over 53 squared, and then minus 1. Again, plug that in the calculator. So we're going to start with the 28 fraction form. 28 over 53. I'm just going to say times. I'm going to do it again. 28 over 53. Not the most efficient, but I started typing it in incorrectly for that, so we're just going to do that. Times 2, and multiply the 2, minus 1. And they give you the fraction, which is negative 1,241 over, looks like we've got 2809 again. So answer 1, answer 2. And finally, let's use tangent 2 theta. So tangent of 2 theta is equal to 2 tan theta, which tan theta is this negative 45 over 28. So 2 times tan theta negative 45 over 28. And I'm going to slide this over a little bit. So over, and then it says 1 minus tangent squared. So 1 minus tangent squared would be negative 45 over 28 squared. All right. So let's go ahead and plug that in. So we get 2 times, I'm just doing the top first, negative 45 over 28. We get negative 45 over 14 over, and let's do the bottom, so we're going to say 1 minus parenthesis negative, and let's make the fraction in here, 45 over 28 squared. Should work just fine. And we get negative 1241 over 784. Now let's actually divide those. So this divided by this gives you, that's 2520 over 1241. And that's how you use your double angle formulas to find your solutions. We start the same way we have for a lot of problems, right? And then we just use our sine, cosine, and tangent to find the double angles.